John standing by right now with Trent Gaugler, an assistant professor of math, and he is a guy who kind of loves the game of basketball too. Here's John.
Thanks very much, Gary. If there's any of my family members watching, no, do not adjust your sets. I am talking to a math professor. Anyone who knows my relationship with numbers knows that's always a shaky issue for me. I'll get through it, Trent. First of all, congratulations on joining us. Thank you for joining Lafayette Sports Network.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Trent, most of your work in the math department, you do a number of things. You're on leave this semester, but a lot of your work focuses on statistics. Talk a little bit about that. I know Gary and I are always talking about statistics and how they relate to athletics, but tell us a little bit more. Take us a little deeper into the concept.
Sure. So, one of the things that I love the most about statistics is the ability to apply it to sort of a number of areas. So a lot of the work that I do, aside from the methodological projects that I have, are collaborations with folks in other departments. So, for example, you mentioned I'm on my research leave this semester. I'm working on a project with a psychologist at Lafayette, and we're sort of studying how memories are formed and how that impacts how knowledge is made. I'm working with a civil engineer, and we're looking at assessing the suitability of material on a dam, and so multiple things like that. I'm working with a team that's funded by a NASA grant, and we're looking at how a particular form of supersonic flight might be suitable for sort of use over the continental U.S. So I'm interested in a lot of projects in a sort of a wide range of areas.
Trent, I've been here a long time, and I think more than ever in the recent past, Lafayette's academic program focuses a lot on teaching across the curriculum, and it's not just lip service. We actually do it. Is it normal? And I know you're relatively new, but how has that impacted your ability and your flexibility as an academic?
Yeah, it's one of the things that drew me to Lafayette, really. I had previously been at larger institutions where that type of thing was harder to do. It's really easy to do at Lafayette and encouraged, and there's a lot of support for it here. So a lot of my work is, I work with computer scientists and folks in the economics department and various places across the campus, and we have conversations about curriculum and research and things like that. And so I think Lafayette's really fostered that, and it's one of the things that I love the most about working here.
Obviously, I don't know a lot about math, but it's been explained to me before that athletes need to work out physically. They need to have their muscles in shape. My daughter's a lawyer, and it's been told to me that math is a great training ground for lawyers. It teaches you how to think, and the brain is a muscle, and it's got to be exercised. Talk a little bit about math and how that does it.
Yeah, so math is really fundamental in so many different disciplines. And there's, in fact, so you mentioned that your daughter's a lawyer, there's a lot of overlap between mathematics and logic and sort of philosophy. And so when you think about math and statistics, you think about sort of the way that we actually sort of assess what is truth. And so there's a whole lot of that overlap with law in that regard. But you're right, it's so true across the curriculum. Mathematics can be applied really anywhere, and we're finding now, especially with sort of explosion of data that we're seeing, statistics is applied in every discipline, and I really mean every discipline. I've worked with folks in art history, I've worked with folks in sort of the places you'd expect, like engineering and chemistry and biology, but you also get applications in English and places like that you probably wouldn't have expected quite a while ago. And so it's all over the place, and so the more adept we are at thinking about math and data and statistics, the more we can sort of see those applications in a wide variety of places.
Now, is there any truth to the rumor that on your office wall you have your own stat sheet tracking your numbers from lunchtime hoops?
I wish. So I do play basketball when I get the opportunity, usually over the lunch hour. I'm actually glad there's no stat sheet, because I think I'd be pretty sad if I had to look at that every day.
Trent, it's always a pleasure, and like so many of our Lafayette professors, these guys break the mold. They apply what they learn. Our students benefit from that one-on-one interaction with guys like Trent. Trent, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Gary, John, back to you.
A professor at Lafayette that plays lunchtime hoops is a good guy in my book.